Hello everybody, Ray Garner with Garner's Games. Today I'm going to be painting a Mortek guard using, I believe what's referred to as the Slapchop method for the bone. I may be doing a little bit more on like some of the shield and things like that. I may go in and do some blue and then do some highlighting of it. I'm going to paint it in the general gist of the box art, but I am going to put my own little twinge on it. Or tweak, maybe the better word. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to start off with Wraith Bone. We'll go over all the bone sections with an overbrush to sit there and try to get it down to where then I can do the contrasting that I'm wanting to do over top of it. Alright, we got our Wraith Bone prepared. We're going to do an overbrushing technique. Try to get all the bone parts to the color that we can go ahead and do the contrast over top of. Now, I have done contrasting on some demons doing the same method, some flesh hounds of corn. It has turned out really nice. This will be the first time I've done the Ossiarchs using this method. You can see you kind of want to still leave some of the black and that so that you can get, the different shading, and you're going to want a little bit of black to come through. I mean, we are doing skeletons. They're mostly going to be a black and white, color scheme. Now, admittedly, years ago, when I did a Tomb King army, minus the contrast, I did this same basic technique. It was recommended to me at the time to use an ink wash over the bones to get a better shading effect. Now, I was still new at painting, so I didn't do that because I was afraid I was going to mess up what I'd already done. But, as you go along painting, you learn different techniques, you master some, sometimes you fail miserably at some. But it's always a growing experience. And as you learn, you get better. The more you practice, the better you get. So if this is your first time painting one of these, and it doesn't turn out the way you're wanting it to, you can always, strip it down with simple green or something of that nature. And that, or, try again the next time. And no matter how many years that you've been painting, you should continue to get better. Even the guys who are on the heavy metal team at Games Workshop, they still work to get better. Because there's always somebody who's a better painter, no matter how good you get. There's always going to be somebody who likes somebody else's paint style better, no matter how good you get. Now I'm going back here and doing some of this armor, so I'm going to do a blue contrast on it to kind of match the box art and get a little more depth to it. Now, to be fair, on the blue contrast, I'm probably going to do a little bit of highlighting over top of it, because I don't want, on the armor, I don't want quite the glossy finish that you tend to get with a contrast. I want to dull it out some, and I tend not to use no oil. I know that's almost sacrilege as a guy who paints a lot of Games Workshop models. But the shield's a little bit more difficult. Sometimes, now I tend to paint everything glued together. And sometimes that's beneficial. Sometimes it is not. The inside of the shield, It's not going to be so beneficial. But it'll be all right. We'll make things work. All right. Get a couple more spots here that I missed. All right. We'll be back here in just a second to do our contrasting. Alrighty, now we're going to start our contrasting. We're going to use skeleton hordes for our contrast color because we're wanting, the good bone color on all the bone areas. Now, as you can kind of look here and see, it's not all bone. This is going to be part of the armor plate on the, basically the shoulder pads. Kind of let it pull up a little bit, but make sure you thin it down some. Get a good even spread. Arms sticking out there. Of course, they're going to be bone colored and not be part of the armor. We got to get in there, get that contrast all on every spot of it. And like I said, chest plate here, that's all part of the armor, so we're going to go underneath that. Get all the legs here, both sides. Double check this back side here. Got a little spot of mist back here. Alright. Now we'll get the arm on the inside of the shield. We're not going to go and hit anything else on the back of the shield if we can avoid it with the contrast paint on this bone color. Alright, let's see, a little bit right there. Okay, and there you can see kind of how it makes the bones on these guys pop. Now, mind you, we're only, I set my watch off to the side. I'm about 8 minutes into painting this guy. He's coming along very quickly, very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and hit the blue contrast real fast, and then we'll be back for some highlighting. Alright, I went ahead and hit the underside blue armor because I don't think it's necessary for everybody to watch me do that. Wow, we're not focusing very good here on the camera. As you can see the detail that contrast allows. So now I'm going to do that on the front shield, which is a little faster, a little easier for everybody to see. I got a little bit too much on there because I got in a hurry. That happens. If that happens, you just got to kind of spread it around a little bit. Now I'm going to leave the trim without the contrast on it, because once it's good and dry, I'm going to go back and I'm going to re-black it. And that, or actually I may, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, what I may actually do on my Tyranids, I used snakebite leather contrast to create a much darker kind of a bone look for their weapons on the flesh bores. So I think I'm actually going to try that. Like I said, this is all kind of me still experimenting. As you can see, there's still some wetness on, some of the, I wonder if I can get everything to focus here. On the legs, but they're drying. So we'll be back here in just a few minutes to kind of finish this up. All right, as you can see here, I went ahead and did the armor again off camera because it gets into fine detail there. Let's say the spear and the shield does make it harder for my camera to focus up this close. You can kind of see the detail we worked out. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and do the top of this shield the same way. I'm really kind of liking how that has worked out for me. I'm not liking how much I have on the brush here, so I want to thin that back off a little bit. You know, this is what I talk about. You know, oftentimes, you know, don't freak out if you make a mistake or you do a little something. The advantage of painting is, for the most part, 9 times out of 10, you can go back and fix almost anything you do, including bumping the camera. All right. As you can kind of see, it's still currently really wet. You can kind of see how that should dry on the shield and really get everything, you know, a lot of detail. The overall looks coming along very nicely and very quickly. Like I said, this is not a long, drawn-out process on painting these guys. Of course, when you're doing kind of a horde unit, you don't want a long, drawn-out process. You want to be able to get it done and get it done quickly. All right, I'm going to re-blacken where I'm going to do some gold, and then we'll be back to show that. All right, we're back. We got the black painted down. It's almost dry. So we're fixing to start doing the gold, which is only going to be this little necklace piece here. That's going to have a gem in the middle, and then a spot on the shield. All right. So it should look pretty good here in just a second. All right, again, I went ahead and did the inside behind the shield part, because like I said, it's going to be hard to film that. I'm going to go ahead and do the shield now. I am kind of rushing this a little bit to kind of get it done for y'all. So we're just going to do a nice soft stroke. Don't want to get anything too far into anything. I think I said this on my last video. I say it all the time. It's better to have to come back and put more paint on something than it is to try to get paint off of something. There, we got a nice shiny deal. And as you can tell, we're coming right along here. We're fixing to do a blue on the little talbot, and then on the spear handle, we got 2 layers. Then we're going to do a browns. We're going to do a, Ronnox hide. And then we're going to do an overbrush of Xanathar dust. Then on the tower, we're going to do a McCrag blue. Then a luminous blue over top of it. Then the spear, as I'm just sitting here noticing, has a little section of it that should also be gold. So we're going to go ahead and do that real fast before I overlook it. It's just a little more gold than I actually wanted on the brush. Now, if this was a hero model, I'd probably back off and repaint this. But because this is going to be one of a group of 20 or so guys, you know, a little overbrushing, we're not actually going to worry about it. I mean, if I was trying to compete in the Gold Demon, yeah, this guy would get a redo on this part here. But since we're doing a massive troop unit, we're just going to ride with a little bit extra gold on it. Not going to be a big deal. Alright, I went ahead and did the base coating of the talbot and the spear's handle. And we're going to focus on now is going ahead and getting the spear handle while we kind of let the blue finish drying. Again, kind of got a little too much paint on there for what I'm trying to do. So this time we'll make sure we get a little bit more of the brush, paint off the brush. Still want the color to stand out, but I want the detail not to be lost on the leather wrapping. I'm going with the Xanathar Dust because while these are technically, relatively speaking for Nagash, new troops, there's still more on the, Tomb King theme kind of concept. So I'm kind of going with a little more desert, rag colorings to the leather instead of a straight up, leather color. I mean, you can go with a different shade. You can go with a more brown if you want. I know the box art has a lot darker brown shade to theirs. But I just kind of want mine to get the focus here. Look older, more worn out kind of look. I think it's coming along quite nicely. I got that. We'll clean our brush here off real fast. And it looks like our blue is dry enough. We can go ahead and go straight into getting that done. Underside of that's going to be a little hard to get to. So we'll see if I can get to it on the camera. If I can, I'll pause it. And I'll come back once I'm finished. Yeah, it looks like it's visible barely. I switched over to a medium base brush for what I'm doing, because I kind of want it to cover the area. I'm still wanting to kind of look ragtag a little bit. Now you notice I did get just a smidgen of blue on that knee, and that's basically going to be a little bit of a touch-up deal, but it won't be too bad. See if we can avoid doing it on this side. I had thought originally about going with red because the red would contrast and stand out really heavily, but I decided against that because I kind of wanted to keep that blue theme going with the armor, but I wanted it to look not like it was the same as the armor. So that's why we went with an overbrush style and that double layered it. All right, I'm going to pause here real quick, do my touch-ups. I'm going to go ahead and also do the lead belcher for the tip of the spear. And that. Then we'll get into the basing of it real fast. And here's our finished product. Back him up a little bit where we can focus a little bit on him. Got the flocking done on him. Got our gem painted up. Went ahead and dotted the gold trim on some of the shield here. That. For the basing material, I used woodland sceneries. Good, because I want to go with a desert look. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. Got a lot more of them to go, just like him. Hope y'all enjoyed that. And remember, the gash always wins in the end.